and as such, we were guided by the funders, and the funders were the National Education Union, and they were actually the people funding the coaching provision, and they were keen to know whether the coaching provision supported the objectives of the work. In other words, for those head teachers who might have needed additional support to develop their thinking, for those head teachers who might have been considering their role as head teachers and whether or not to stay in the role. So each head teacher would have a different, if you like, an angle.
Right.
And what the union was keen to know is whether or not their investment in the head teachers via the coaching model paid off. So it was really an evaluation. So what was the impact of coaching on head teachers' capacity to do their work? What was the impact of coaching on their sense of ability to be retained in the job, because we have a significant problem of head teacher retention here in England. It was those sorts of questions, really. What difference did it make? That's what we wanted to know.
Mm-hmm. And so let's move on to what you actually found. And I'm interested in, you know, the key findings, but also perhaps if there were any surprises.
The key findings were that the head teachers, I suppose the headline finding was that the head teachers reported that the conversations that they'd had with coaches, which happened over the course of a full school year, and were quite, there were 2-hour coaching sessions across the whole year. What they said was they had no other opportunity to have the quality of conversation they had with the coaches with anybody else and at any other time. So whilst they recognised that different partners or agencies offered them support, they were all saying clearly that this was a unique conversational space, and as such became a unique space for them in which they shared some of their concerns. They revisited their values as educators and as head teachers. They rehearsed ideas. In other words, they gained opportunity to draw on their own insight, draw on their own understanding, to think through more strategically what decisions they might make. They said very loudly that the coaching provided them with a space in which they thought about themselves beyond the role of head teacher as well, which is critical because they were talking about impacts on well-being, positive impacts on their prioritization, so time they would spend on their family, time they would give to their own health, time they would give to their own leisure, and that they actually could see tangible changes as a result of, if you like, grounding themselves again in their own capacity and ability to be effective head teachers, and rebalancing some of the aspects of their life that allowed them to do that. So I think it was every head teacher, I would say, found something different in that coaching space because they all looked for and needed something different. It is a unique experience for them, but there was a very strong sense that they were hugely grateful for the opportunity to have that sustained coaching. So that was really the main message. As I say, it's not one singular message, but it's that sense of it's just hugely helpful and supportive when head teachers work in such demanding, challenging, and often vulnerable roles to provide them with access to specialist coaching. Mm-hmm. And I guess in terms of, you know, what might people find interesting or challenging from the actual research, and I'm thinking here about people who inevitably want to find solutions. They want to help head teachers do a good job and be well in their jobs. But what I think is a challenge to this is that the model of coaching is very specialised. It's not having another head teacher down the road to have a conversation with. There is value in that, but it's not the same as the value in this coaching. And that the coaches themselves are highly skilled. And that's what the head teachers say. They absolutely valued the skill and knowledge base of the coaches and saw that as its essential quality. And I think that's a difficult message because that's not the sort of thing you can deliver quickly and cheaply and at scale, but it is the sort of thing that you can concentrate on in terms of a long-term investment and recognising how we might resolve some of the issues that head teachers face by thinking differently about the solutions that we might offer them.
I can see potentially lots of interest there for systems and looking at those issues of wellbeing and retention. I'm wondering also about whether there are some takeaways here for coaches themselves, and particularly for senior leaders in schools who may be considering coaching or are beginning a coaching partnership.
I think so, and I think we've made a number of recommendations in the report for the senior leaders themselves, for the coaching company or independent coaches, for governors and trustees of schools, for the Department for Education. So we have made a number of recommendations, and the main recommendation, I think, is that it's worth seeking out the quality of the work rather than looking for quick and easy solutions, because what that quality does is it engages intelligent people, head teachers in our case, in intelligent conversations that then has all sorts of ripple effects, some of which would not have been easily predicted. So, for example, becoming more confident about how coaching type conversations can be deployed within a school setting, if you're a school leader, can actually transform the way that you work with your senior leadership team, with your governors. It can help you think differently about the relationship that you have with parents, for example. So it isn't just about meeting the individual needs of a head teacher, but it's also about saying, let's see how the coaching can actually create an insight for the teacher and also vicariously develop a skill set that allows them to do their work well. And if you like, resolve some of the issues that might have brought the head teacher into coaching in the first place. So one of the key messages, I think, is that it isn't something which is just, if you like, an instant remedy for an individual's concern. It is about building insight into how educational infrastructures at whatever scale can actually be transformed through better conversations.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's a little flickering here. But you've really shed light on those key issues for me, so I appreciate that. And we have the full report. You've given me a link to the full report where people can read more when they're interested. And it's so relevant at the moment. I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest in it, and looking forward to being able to include that in our newsletter. So thank you very much for your time, Rachel.
That's fine. Thank you very much for being patient with me.
Not at all. Go well with that cough.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Okay. See you sometime. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.